Hey, everybody, and welcome to Oh My Word with Katie, the show where we share stories of real life Christianity, the good, the bad, and the Oh My Word from believers who've been there. I'm your host, Katie Ginn, and today I'm super excited to be interviewing Scarlet Hiltibidal. Did I say that right?
You did. You did
Okay.
perfect.
Okay, good. Because in the past, I've definitely read it with a different pronunciation in my head, but yeah.
Nailed it.
Scarlett is an author and speaker. She's written 4 books, including her latest, Hopeful Ish, Sadness, Weariness, More Sadness, Donkey Attacks. Oh, wait. I'm reading it out of order, but this is long subtitle. It's so hilarious, and I love it. Sadness, weariness, donkey attacks, more sadness, and other stuff you need the gospel for. So, as you can tell, she definitely uses humor in her writing, even when talking about serious topics. And if you are listening to this before 7 p.m. Tuesday, December 9th, you need to come hear Scarlett speak live and in Broadmoor Baptist Church. We are having our women's Christmas gathering Tuesday, December 9th, 7 p.m. Scarlett will be speaking. Before that, we have shopping and food and stuff. And you can get your ticket for $25 at broadmoor.org/gathering. Also, tickets are buy one, get one. So when you spend that $25, you automatically get 2 tickets, one for you, one for a friend. Definitely come. I'm coming. I'm really excited. But Scarlett, thanks so much for chatting with me today. I'm really excited.
Thank you for having me. I was telling you and Beth before we recorded, I have not been so excited to come speak at an event, maybe ever, because on Instagram, you guys are so fun and happy and joyful. And I'm like, I've been seeing all the stuff leading up to it, and I'm like, I'm so excited to go to this. So I can't wait.
Yeah, I feel like I need to like steal some of the Broadmoor Women's Ministry people from their social media team for my social media team because it is not second nature to me. And I'm like, I need some of that. I need some of that fun in my
Oh,
life.
they have like choreographed dancing happening, and I'm like, this is gonna be great.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Um, so we're going to get into Hopefulish because I think this could be a really good book for people who may be heading into a difficult holiday season. Um, but before that, tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, and things like that.
Okay, well, yes, I agree. We are heading into the holiday season, and hopefully, it should be a great book for anyone grieving, dealing with sadness. And you mentioned I use humor in my writing. This is my fourth book, and I would say it's definitely my most serious book. So if you're
Hmm.
looking for like a more lighthearted book, I wouldn't start with this one. But so I had a lot of like kind of insecurity putting this out there because it's such heavy topics, and there is a little bit of humor in it, but way less than my other books. But okay, about me. I have 4 children ranging from 14 to 1, and the 1-year-old was a surprise. And so I'm like thrust back into babyhood, motherhood, which I forgot how to do because my next youngest is 10. And I was like, this is our family. We are complete. I kind of had my life rhythm going. I would travel and speak and like have my Starbucks in my hand. And it was like kind of this easy thing
Yeah.
going on. And so now, like, the whole dying to self that is required of you when you have a new baby or a toddler now who's like constantly, you know, going to the outlets with the butter knife and everything. Like I'm back there, and it's
Yeah.
been so good for me because
Mhm.
it's way harder to be selfish with your time when you are just constantly. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at right now in life. And I'm married to a pastor. We just moved to Texas just a few months ago, actually, to be part of a really wonderful ministry here. My family's in the Nashville area. I grew up daughter of a actress, stand-up comedian. She was on Saturday Night Live for 6 years, got cast on the show when I was 6 months old. And so I grew up in that environment. And it was very bizarre and weird and colorful, but I didn't know that because I was a little baby and a kid growing up. I was just like, this is life. This is
Yeah.
everybody's life.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And my biological dad was a magician fire eater. And my adoptive dad, years later, was a SWAT cop. And so it was a lot of moving and craziness and Baptist churches. And so I was trying to put together the Jesus is the hope of the world and what I'm hearing in the wings of the comedy club. And it was a lot. There you
Yeah.
go. In a nutshell, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I can see where some of the humor comes from for sure. And
Well, yeah.
so I hate that this isn't coming out until after November because I definitely took advantage of Lifeway's 4 books for $30 deal, and I got all
Yes.
your books. So I'm going to show
Oh,
them or read them off for those who are just listening. So your first book is Afraid of All the Things.
That's the one to
tornadoes.
start with.
Yes, yes. Afraid of all the things: tornadoes, cancer, adoption, and other stuff you need the gospel for. Okay. And
Yeah,
then you have He Numbered the Pores on My Face,
that's for
Haughty
teen girls.
List. Yes, Haughty List, Clogged Pores, Eating Disorders, and Freedom from It All. And I love this
Mhm.
cover. It's so cute.
Thanks.
And then You're the Worst Person in the World. This is a book
Okay.
title. This is not something I'm saying to Scarlett. You're the worst person in the world. Why it's the best news ever that you don't have it together, you aren't enough, and you can't fix it on your own. Which, can I just say amen?
Amen.
Um, so, but you started writing the first one, right? Afraid of All the Things, in third grade.
I mean, yes, honestly, yes. Yes. You want me to
How,
talk about that?
yeah, like, I mean, were you, I mean, obviously, I guess you're a big reader. Were there authors who inspired you, or were you just like, I've got to share my story?
I was like more into writing and first into writing before I was into reading. I would say it was like the spark happened when I was in third grade and there were blank little white books. And during free time, we were allowed to write stories and draw pictures in these books. And I was like, this, I don't know. I was just one of those kids who immediately knew this is the thing I want to do with my life. I had encouraging teachers who said, you're a good writer. And so, when you're
Oh,
a kid and somebody says you're good at something, then you're like, oh, I'm going to lean into this thing. And so same all through high school, all through college, I took all the writing classes I could, and I just kind of had a one track mind of like, I'm going to write books. But I wasn't, I didn't understand the gospel. I mean, I was exposed to the gospel, and I was trying to be a Christian when I was, that didn't come out. Here's what I mean by that. I was trying to be a Christian, not understanding what Christianity was, meaning I was like, okay, I'm 14, I'm giving my life to Jesus. Now I'm going to be the best Christian ever, which is the opposite of Christianity, because Christianity is about worshiping Jesus and living a life of following him, surrender to him because of what he did. But I was living like, how could I be the best at this now? So I was kind of missing the whole point. I do think I was saved. I think I was just one of those miserable Christians who was saved, knew I needed Jesus, but kept spinning my wheels in my day to day. Like I had to earn his love every day, and like I had to earn everybody's love every day. And if I did something wrong, I was a failure, and if I did something right, I was awesome. And then I was proud and arrogant, and the whole cycle. So anyway, I was not writing about Jesus. I was writing about stupid nothing. I was like trying to be a chick lit author in my 20s. But yes, you're right. I wrote about and Afraid of All the Things is kind of my uh, testimony, memoir, life story of battling anxiety, because I had regular anxiety, but I also had faith anxiety big time, because as a Christian who's kind of living an opposite faith, it's like, well, am I doing good enough? Am I really a Christian? All those questions were just beneath the surface. And so a huge part of my testimony is learning to rest in the beautiful finished work of Jesus and his
yeah.
death and resurrection, and learning that it's not about me and my performance. It's about him and what he's done.
Yeah.
So, but in third grade, my mom saves everything, which is a gift and a curse. I just today got poems that she saved that are so embarrassing and cringy, as the kids say. I'm like, oh, I don't want to ever revisit this, but my mom saves everything and will send me all these pictures. I'm grateful. But she saved this little book that I wrote. It was like 40 pages when I was 9 or something. Yeah, 9. And it said on the back cover copy, I wrote about myself, even though it was me. Scarlet has many ulcers and troubles, all spelled wrong. Will she ever overcome her fears? Read the book to find out. And then it was a memoir. It was my life story, very elementary school version. And so like funny in a sad way. But I have this book in my like stuff. And so, it's a grown up, Afraid of All Things is a grown up book, and it's more sophisticated than the original, but that was like in me my whole life. So I was trying to be a writer and writing these fiction books that were getting rejected by every agent in America, because that was like my sole mission in my 20s. I was working jobs and trying to be a published author. And they all were encouraging enough to keep me going. They would read my books and compliment them, but reject me ultimately.
Mhm.
And then as the Lord changed my life and I started to learn how to rest and have the joy and peace that eluded me for so long, I just naturally started writing about that, because it's my one hobby I've done my whole life. And then
Mhm.
it's like I was like a singer singing on the right street corner, and the right person walks by. Someone who is a friend who had a private Facebook shared a blog I wrote that 5 people read, and she'd gone to middle school with someone who ended up in publishing, and it was like it just
Yeah.
snowballed from there. So I love that the Lord let it happen for me after it had stopped being my idol. Like, I'm just going to write a book, even though I have nothing to say, because this is what I love to do and I feel good at. But it was
Man.
like when I finally had something to say, which is, oh, you can be happy. You can be a happy Christian. Then he allowed it to happen, which is just a blessing,
Mm.
because who knows what would have happened had I gotten my big wish when it was all about me. It would have disappointed me for sure, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, that is, you are punching all my buttons with this, like the perfectionism, the okay, I'm saved and baptized, and now I'm going to be really good. Now I'm going to be really good, really perfect, and then the trying to write when you have nothing to say, girl. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Like I've not given up on writing a book, but just like it is definitely not time. Like
Hmm.
if the Lord ever tells me to go, I will go, and it'll be, full tilt. But like until then,
Hmm.
I'm good. Publishing my magazine, write an editor's
Yeah.
letter every month, 500
Hmm.
words. I'm good.
Yeah.
So,
You know, he opens the doors. Be faithful with that gift, because yeah, it's like my story is when people ask me for advice or like, how do I get into it? I'm like, well, I don't know. It's like you work really hard and you try, and it's totally up to the Lord. Like what's gonna happen?
yeah.
It's like quote unquote luck slash
Hmm.
sovereignty of God, you know, mixed with learning and trying and
Yeah.
practicing and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So these books, they're all pretty personal. I haven't read all of them. I just started the first one, Afraid of All the Things. And then as you can see from my bookmark, I'm like a third of the way through Hopefulish. But they're pretty personal. I mean, this is about, the pores on your face, you being afraid of all the things. And so was any part of that scary, or did you just default to, well, this is my story and I'm going to share it, or
Good question. I think that my default is to be very open, heart on my sleeve, because that's what I grew up around. My mom was a performer. It's like it's not like something I had to work up the courage to do. It was just kind of my MO has always been being open with my own stuff. And I
Mhm.
think, and this is what I'm learning this year, and you'll appreciate this because you're reading probably my funniest book and my most serious, dark, sad book at the same
Uh-huh.
time, which is
Uh-huh.
interesting. But I've never felt very insecure about. I do share very deeply personal things, but I think humor is kind of like a security blanket where I'm like, okay, I'm sharing very personal things, but if I can make them laugh and have a good time while they're reading it, then I don't have to feel vulnerable about it, you know? And so this book, Hopefulish, which came out a month ago, which was only 2 months after I moved to a new city, new church, new everything, it's been very uncomfortable for me because I feel like I have way, I mean, there's some humor in it, but I have way less of that as a security blanket as I share deep sadness, doubt, struggles
Yeah.
from my own life. So yes, I'm very careful about what I share when it comes to other people. And if
Yeah.
anyone else is involved, I either ask them or I so overly cloak it and have the editors verify that it's so overly cloaked that it's not going to, you know, step on anybody's personal thing. But
Yeah.
with my own stuff, I have always been very open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Hopefulish specifically, tell me kind of how that came about, because I know there's a lot there.
Yeah. Hopefulish originally, so I've been writing books, how many, I don't know, 7 years, 8 years. And I kind of would kind of, you know, it's stories from my life. And Hopefulish, I thought I'm going to write this book about holding on to hope when the world breaks your heart. After my uncle, who was like a father figure to me, died by suicide in 2021, post COVID, it was like job loss, broken engagement. So many people, you know, battled depression during that time. And I had just moved out to California for a ministry thing with my husband, and he was my only local relative. And 3 months later, he dies by suicide. And then 16 days later, my grandma Marlene, mother figure, I'm wearing the chain right now that held her head on. She told me my whole life. She died, his mom died by COVID pneumonia. And so that was very hard for me. The big questions of like, you know, if you love someone who dies by suicide, like, what should I have done differently? Why wasn't I there that morning? You know, and where is he now? You know, what was this state of his soul? I wish I had the answer to that. You know,
Mm.
what could I have done more to help point him toward Jesus, even though he changed my diapers? Because I tried, because I knew he was struggling. I mean, these are very heavy, hard things. And I definitely battled depression, which isn't my go. Usually anxiety is my go-to. Panic and anxiety is kind of, if I'm going to have a struggle, it's going to be that. So I was wrestling with sadness and wrestling with being a longtime 20 plus year Christian follower of Jesus and thinking, man, I've walked with him so long and I know what's true. And it's so much easier to preach the gospel to my heart when I'm believing lies. But, and here, let me open it so I say it right. That verse in First Corinthians or Second Corinthians that says, we are pressed but not crushed. What is it? It's right here. Hold on. Please hold. Sorry. This is a great riveting podcast. I know. I'm so sorry. Here it is. Okay. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. 2 Corinthians 4:8 and 9. Those verses resonated so much with me because it was like, even though I know I'm pressed but not crushed, I feel crushed. And even though I know I'm not hopeless, I feel hopeless right now. So I was going to write this book as I wrestled with that, kind of working it out. And then I pitched it to my publisher. I'm like, okay, I've got a deadline. It's going to come out, in 2025. But then when it actually came time to write the book, my mom's cancer returned, stage 4 terminal. I took a positive pregnancy test, found out I'm having a surprise baby. So I was physically like violently sick the whole time I was writing this book. And so it was a very, like, the outline changed, which I always have an outline and I like stick to the outline. Like, I added 3 more chapters and I was really like, I wasn't like exhaling after a season of grief. I was like actively still walking in grief. And I think that was I know it was a gift from the Lord, because I really had to hold on to him and not just like reflect back on, oh, that was a hard season and now things are better. Excuse me. So I do hope that it serves people well, in that I was in a lot of pain when I wrote it. And I think a lot of us have been in a lot of pain the last few years as the world has changed, So that's where it came from. Excuse me.
That's a lot. And when I was like doing my research on you for the show and everything, I knew that, Beth kept saying she grew up in the green room of SNL. And I was like, okay, well, who? And I'm like, oh, okay, Victoria Jackson. Okay. And I look, and then I go to your mom's website and see that news and that prognosis. And I was like, oh, wow.
Crazy, man.
So how is she doing, and how are you doing? How are you like handling all this?
It was a huge gift to see how, like, to walk with her through this while I was writing the book, because a lot of what's in the book is her testimony of joy and peace as she's walked through this, and me literally like saying, hey mom, can I type out this text message you just sent me and put it in my book? She's like, okay. Because I mean, it's been striking physically. As I wrote the book, she was actually doing worse than she is now. So praise God, she's stable right now. She's taking this pill that's supposed to extend your life by a few years. She's a year into this, and they radiated the tumor that was blocking her windpipe. So she was coughing so much every breath that she would like throw up. I mean, it was horrible. So when I was writing the book, I was like, do we have weeks? I don't know. It was just devastating news. And yet she was so her, and she was still loving us and serving us and making us laugh. And it was just very instructive to me and my children, my older girls, especially 14, 12, and 10, who would, walk into her house with a new scan report, so sad, and like, oh my goodness, okay, let's go see her. Like, how do we do this? And then we would leave happy. And I remember my oldest saying, I really was scared to go see Bam Bam. That's what they call her. But something about how she was and what she was saying and doing just made me feel like everything's going to be okay. And it's not that she's ignoring the reality, but it's like she's really living like death is an event in her life, and then she's going to live forever. That's what we believe. And it's like, if we're despairing over an impending death, like, do we really believe that we're going to live forever? Because that's what Jesus says. And so it's been the saddest, but sweetest time walking with her. And it's brought our family very close together in a way we've never been. So that's been a huge gift too.
Yeah. I've seen probably way too much SNL over the years, but I went to YouTube and I was like, all right, I need to, for research purposes, I'm gonna watch some Victoria Jackson. I think I watched a few sketches, but I think my favorite was the Boyfriend song that she sang with Willie Nelson.
Really good.
It's so silly, but so sweet. And I just feel like her personality really comes through in that. Is there a particular sketch that for you like stands out as like, that's my mom?
Oh, I mean, she's known for her handstands on the update desk. She was raised a gymnast, and she would do these handstands. So I mean, I think of Toonsis the Driving Cat with Steve Martin, like that was a big one for her. And I'm sure I liked that one because there was like a puppet cat in it. And I was 0 through 6 when she was on the show. And I would go with her and I had a crush on Adam Sandler and I would like watch him jumping through a fake glass window from the side from the wings. And it was like so and I see him on the TV later. So it was like I kind of knew what was happening and that it was cool, but not really. I don't know. Yeah, I think that my memories of that time are so childlike because I was a child. So it's like if I were to go back and watch I mean, I've seen her stuff so much. I'm like so inundated with everything she's ever done. But I do think of her songs and I like the boyfriend song. She is such a good writer. And she always definitely encouraged that in me and would edit my things and say, oh, you should do this here, and she's really good with words and really funny. And what you see is what you get. Like her personality is that it's not a character, that's her. And so yeah, it probably tunes this little 5-year-old me would say.
Did you get to meet any cast members? Were there any like that were particularly cool or nice?
Oh yeah, I mean they were our friends. And so that's the weird thing is that like I was really little, but then we kept in touch. So this is a cool story. Okay, so one of my favorites was John Lovitz. You know John Lovitz?
Mhm.
Okay. He was one of my favorites. He would like come to our house and I had a cat named Flippy, this orange cat, named her Flippy because she would like do flips in the spokes. What do you call them? Like the rails of the bar stools at our kitchen counter. She'd do flips over him. So she was Flippy. He would come to our house and then he would call me Flippy and call the cat Scarlet. And I thought that was so funny because I'm Scarlet and that's Flippy. And so he'd say, hello, Flippy. And I'd be like, I'm not Flippy. So he was great. And I mean, they were all great. I loved Adam Sandler. I loved Dana Carvey. The
Mhm.
ones my mom's was closest with is who I liked the most. And then anyway, so then I grow up and like my life is so far removed from like my glamorous movie star mom. Like I'm married to a pastor. I have a bunch of kids throwing up on me all day. Like that's my life. And so that sounds like a story I read once.
Mhm.
But every once in a while it'll kind of sneak into my life. Like when I was a teenager, we'd go to LA and we'd visit them and we would know each other. And it was so weird to me because I'd be like, oh yeah, that was real.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing is when I was 28 or 29, I was living in Nashville. My family was there, and John Lovitz was going to come do stand up. So my mom was like, let's go to Zany's and we'll go see him. So we saw him, and then we went to the green room after. And I'm hugely pregnant with with Dewey, with my youngest daughter. And I'm like, he's not going to remember me. I'm an adult woman now with children. And we go into the back green room after his set, and I see him, and the first thing he says is, hello, Flippy.
I love it.
This is amazing. And we took a picture of him and me. And so I have a picture side by side of me being like 2 and him holding me, and then me being 28 and him holding my child in my stomach. So that's like those weird moments where it's like, oh, this was real.
Yeah.
And I had nothing to do with it. I was just a tag along kid, but it's like, what a cool experience. I'm grateful for it now. I
Mhm.
didn't appreciate it then, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, so back to Hopeful-ish.
Hmm.
You're in the midst of grief as you write it, and sometimes people think that's dangerous or that, oh, you're too close to it, you need to wait until you have some distance. Was there anybody that helped you like edit or pull back on certain things or push into certain things? Like, did you have help with that process?
Oh yeah, I heavily rely on who I call my secret weapon, but I talk about him all the time. My husband is my editor. We met and bonded over love for words and English. I was an English major. He wrote a sonnet to try to get kids to come to youth group at the church he planted, and I was like, that was a real Shakespearean sonnet. I'm an English major. Let's get married, basically.
Mhm,
Basically, is how
mhm.
it all happened. So, and then he worked in publishing for many years, and so he is like I mean, I don't know what I would do without him. I heavily rely on him to edit me in all forms. Like I don't post to this day, I don't post an Instagram post without him seeing it and like, hey, what do you think about this? And sometimes he'll be like, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, okay. So yes, the answer is and I agree. I think it can definitely be dangerous to, put things out there when you're so in the midst of them. And of course it wasn't like, no, I was definitely wrestling as I was writing. But the good thing about publishing is not only do I have my secret weapon, Brandon, who edits everything before I send it to the real editor, Ashley Gorman, who has edited all my books and knows me and is so fantastic and wonderful. But I definitely have that security and like, okay, I'm just going to write and then Brandon will edit and then Ashley will edit. And then there's like a theological editor. And so before people are holding it and seeing it, I have a lot of comfort. And then I see it again because they're like, well, we should change this. What do you think about this? Excuse me. So lots of comfort in all those eyes on it for sure. Still vulnerable, but it's funny. Like you've read some of it, but sometimes I'll do interviews or something with someone who has no idea, and they're like, "So you're the expert on hope. How did you?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "You know, nope." Anxiety and hope. I'm like, "Nope." I just have really struggled with these things and write about them as I'm struggling. I do
Yeah.
not claim to be the expert in anything. I'm very grateful for Jesus, but let's
Yeah.
talk about it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
so funny. You're the expert on hope.
No, yeah.
Well, when it comes to hope, though, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of books that have been written on hope. You're not the
Mhm.
first to cover this, but when it comes to people reading your book and, hopefully becoming more hopeful as a result, what would that look like? Like, what are the kind of stories that you hope to hear from people who've read this book?
Um, well, something that my pastor has been secret weapon editor helped me discover as I read about hope in God's word, and something that I don't think I'd noticed before is that hope is a gift, and I think that's in First Peter, which or no Romans, it's all over. Um, Here we go. Okay, so this is First Peter 1, 3, and 4. I hope, because of his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead and into an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading, kept in heaven for you. I think that hope is like this thing that and achiever mentality. It's like, well, how do I get it? How much Bible do I need to read to feel it? Like, what do I need to do? And I think over and over again, the Lord was helping me see through his word, through my husband and his studying theological books and telling me about it or preaching about it, helping me see that hope is a gift that you are given when you have the Holy Spirit. It's not something you can go to a seminar about, it's not something you can master. It's something that when you are daily walking with the Lord and you have his spirit in you and you are constantly doing what Colossians 3:2 tells us to do, set our minds on things above, not on earthly things. It's a gift that we're given to have that eternal perspective. The thing my mom has as she's walking with terminal cancer, like she's not trying to be that way. She is truly believing and living for her eternal life that she has spent her whole life, um, you know, believing in and studying and being encouraged at church and with other believers. And you read the Bible and then you do what it says and you experience that joy of
Mhm.
actually walking with him and obeying him. um, anyway, all that to say, I hope that people who read Hopefulish walk away feeling, you know, seen and understood, because I think it's tempting as a Christian, especially a new Christian or maybe an old Christian who's just kind of gotten disconnected and isolated in their pain, which is all of our tendency. It's my tendency for sure. Um, if you've kind of started believing the lies of like your brain is worse than everybody else's brain, you are handling this worse than a Christian should handle this. Like that's a lie that will sneak into my brain that I have to fight back. I hope that they will remember that it's not up to them be to have the biggest faith. It's not up to them to be the faithfulest faith person. It's just up to them
Mhm.
to look to Jesus and accept the gift of peace that he gives and accept the hope that he gives us when we are abiding. So I hope that through my painful stories, they identify with their own painful stories and think, oh, you can still walk with Jesus when you don't feel like it. Walking with Jesus isn't being inauthentic. And, because I think that authenticity is like the thing right now people want to be, which is great. I want to be authentic, of course. But I think that desire can lead us to be like, well, if I don't feel like going to church, I'm not going to go to church
Mhm.
because that's not authentic. Or if I don't feel like reading the Bible because it feels boring today, I'm not going to do it. And then we drift away and we believe the lies and we, like I said earlier, we feel crushed and perplexed and abandoned when we're actually not. So I just hope it reminds them that walking with Jesus, even with a limp, even when you're tired, even when you're sad, I mean, there's just no other way. Like Peter said, where else
Yeah.
will I go? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have to feel chipper about it. It's
Yeah.
okay to take those tough emotions to the Lord. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Where can people buy the book? Wherever books are sold?
Yeah. Where books are sold, where we like to buy books.
All right. Hopeful-ish, weariness, donkey attacks, more sadness, and other stuff you need the gospel for. I'm not going to spoil the donkey attack. I thought about it, but I was like, no, we need to
Oh,
let that ride.
spoil it, save it.
Oh my goodness. Well, Scarlett, thanks so much for being on the show. This has been really, really sweet and fun to talk to you.
Thanks for having me, Katie. I'm excited to read things you've written and put out there and see what God does with your love for writing.
Well, you're sweet. I appreciate that. And y'all, don't forget that Scarlett is speaking Tuesday night, December 9th, Broadmoor Baptist Church in Madison, Mississippi. You can go to broadmoor.org/gathering, get your ticket for $25, which automatically gets you a ticket to bring a friend.